What's up with Mrs. Norris and Crookshanks?
Did Dumbledore even know Hermione and Ron?
What did Crabbe and Goyle do in their free time? Welcome to the Pottership Podcast,
where we chat about the beloved Potter characters and their relationships.
We dissect,
speculate,
and outright laugh our way through headcanons.
So, all aboard! Hi, I'm Mel, a very proud Hufflepuff. And fun fact, I have a dog who's named after a Harry Potter spell, Cantus. My wand is Vinewood with a unicorn hair core. It's 11 3/4 inches and slightly yielding flexibility. My Patronus is a mink, and my Ilvermorny house is Pugwudgie.
Hi, I'm TC. I guess it's my turn. Okay. Hi, I'm TC. I'm a Ravenclaw, very proud, holding up for the blue and the bronze. I have a white stallion Patronus. My wand is 12 inches long, made of alder with a dragon heartstring core. And my Ilvermorny house is Thunderbird. And my Potter fun fact is that Petunia found Harry on her doorstep on my birthday, 1981, which is slightly after when I was born, but we don't have to talk about that.
That's cute. Okay, and hi, I'm Sam. I am also a Hufflepuff. My Patronus is a polar bear, and my Ilvermorny house is Thunderbird. My wand is Vinewood with a phoenix feather core, 12 3/4 inches with supple flexibility. Yeah, you heard me. My mom started reading Harry Potter to us when we were kids, and I knew it was an amazing series because there were two bookmarks. One for where she stopped reading with us the night before, and one where she read ahead after we went to bed. So I knew it was a good series.
Well, just to give you a little bit of thought of what we're doing here, the Pottership Podcast is all about the relationships of the various Harry Potter characters. And tonight we are starting off with Petunia and Harry. They are one of the first relationships we really are introduced to in this Potter series, so it seemed appropriate to start with them. Do you want to start with any of your thoughts?
Sure. I basically wrote down three things that came to mind when I thought about this one. And I kind of applied normal person standards to the Harry Potter world. Okay. And by that, I mean, as an adult woman, she was forced to take on a child that every day reminded her that she had lost a sister, that she had lost a sister to magic, that she had no magic, and that her sister got to live this enchanted life where she was special and she was left at home to be normal. So if you use normal person standards, yeah, I can see her resentment growing.
Are you saying Harry Potter isn't normal? That's not normal people?
They live like they're in the 1800s in many ways, so no.
I mean, but
you know what?
But the way it is the 90s, so like there's a little bit of a difference. But it does feel like in the Muggle world, like that could have happened. So if she, if she's it's totally understandable if they're experiencing survivor's guilt or being overshadowed by a sibling. Like that's just people.
Well, I think there's a good point there, though. Like, okay, yes, her resentment grew, but I also, and I know this isn't a relationship we can really delve into, but one of the things Petunia says is that their parents were super proud that they had a witch in the family. So on top of feeling less special, she then, I get the feeling, had parents who made her feel less special, too. So I don't think she had a good role model to be a good mother. So taking on another child then reminds you that, you lost a sister and you have no magic and this child could be special. And then, as I'm sure Dumbledore's note may have inferred, is possibly the most special of all of the special people. I can see why she was just like, you know what? This is my chance to make him not special. And instead of being having what I would call a compassionate reaction, yeah, she had an emotional reaction of years of feeling less than and went to town on a baby.
Well, not only that,
no,
she's just lost her sister and she's being forced by people who are scary because she doesn't know Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
There's all she knows is this scary set of people is the reason her sister's dead. And now she has to take care of this kid under threat of scary people coming back.
Yeah, you have a point there.
Do you think if she had, so one of the things that I wrote down, do you think if she had been able to go to therapy, would that have helped? If she had been able to talk to somebody, and I don't mean able like, although it was the 90s, so it's not, so there was, there was some stigma, but I mean, if she had been able to be introspective enough to say, wow, I'm dealing with some shit, I need to go to therapy, would she have been able to work through it?
I think that's I like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think if she had been able to freely go, yes, but she also had a husband who bolstered the mistreatment and the magic is evil and the we can't let him thrive. So even if she had found a therapist, let's say some squib who straddled both worlds, who she could have talked to, she still would have been doing it in secret to keep it from her husband, which would have caused its own set of issues and resentments.
So that's something, in looking at it, does Vernon take her, like, does Vernon follow her lead or does she follow Vernon's? Because he probably wasn't even aware.
I've been thinking about a long time because I've been listening to, lots of people in the fandom, and there seems to be this thing where Vernon makes her this angry and makes her feel this way. But the very beginning chapters, when you're introduced to Vernon, his first thought is, I don't want to upset Petunia by asking about her sister or these people.
What I'm saying. Yeah, so I think he's following her lead.
He follows her lead on that. I think she could have gone to therapy, but I think she should have gone to therapy when she was rejected by Dumbledore as a child.
Yes.
Parents should have recognized that she was hurting and she was angry and that they needed to find a way to make her, well, this is how your sister's special, but Petunia, we love you and this is how you're special. And
you're so good at gardening.
You're so right.
Like something.
Beautiful eye. I wouldn't say that. I think her house is hideous, but your decorating.
I didn't say decorating.
But you know what I mean. Like I think the therapy needed.
Yeah.
Well, and going back with your theory of she was mistreated mentally, even if they didn't mean to, by her parents. That goes right into the very normal. We treat our children the way we were treated. She wasn't treated well. And if she wasn't treated well, she wouldn't have treated Harry well because he was the embodiment of all the reasons she wasn't treated well.
But
now,
then
the
she
converse is she overcompensated exactly with Dudley because she knew she was wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
All right, so cool.
Now, on Harry's side, the way I saw it is until he went to school, which means until he was 5 or 6, he wouldn't have known any other way. Okay. Like, this was his life.
Right.
And like most abused children, he wouldn't have been visiting friends. He wasn't out, seeing cousins. So this was just his life. He wouldn't have known how miserable his life was compared to others. He just knew he was unhappy.
Okay.
Because the only person he could compare to was Dudley, but this was still his norm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Until they went to school and he started seeing other kids and maybe hearing about, their home lives and their bedrooms and their backyards and all the things he couldn't do. I don't know if he understood how abused he was. And then I think getting to school and then being doubly abused because of all the teasing at school and having no one to turn to because he then was starting to realize how abusive his family was, explains so much about the Harry we get to know as a teenager. Because one of the things, and I know this is jumping into the story itself, but 5th Year, which is the book that most people hate because Harry is so angsty and so over the top. But if you look back at where he started,
so accurate.
He was never taught to deal with his emotions.
Yeah.
He was never allowed to have any. And when he had them or showed them, he got punished for it or beat up by Dudley.
Yeah.
So,
and then he meets his godfather who's like, I'm going to commit the murder I was in prison for. And you're like, that's not a good way to.
Right, like, don't, this is one of those you don't help.
That's not the right.
But
So I think when you look at Petunia and Harry, you've got an abuser who was abused and an abusee who doesn't know what to do with it.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's a kid. He's a kid. He doesn't know how to handle it. He doesn't know how to process it.
And honestly, if you think about, by the time we get to book 5, which amazes me actually how many people do like book 5. I love book 5, but I love them all. I'm a little bit of a, I'm a Harry Potter whore that way. But I think by the time we get there, we also have to look at the fact that he was a yo-yo at that point. He had been yo-yoing back between school, the Weasleys, and the Dursleys for 4 years. Mm-hmm. I would be psychotic.
Especially, and they talk a lot about how he perceives the Burrow. He's so enthralled by this family that, you love everyone, everyone's accepted in this comfortable, cozy house. You each have a room.
Where's the cupboard? Under the stairs.
I get a second helping of food. I get a hug.
Why are you hugging me?
Yeah.
I'm not.
I do think, I wonder about Petunia when Harry's gone. That's what I think about when we think about the Harry-Petunia relationship. For 4 months, she has no remembrance of this child and tries to block him out. How much does that resentment grow as summer gets closer? So that when he does have to come back in his yo-yoing status,
mm-hmm.
I can see her being even more cruel. Yeah.
And every time he comes back, he looks more and more like James.
Yep.
That's true.
He looks more and more like James.
Here's a question that occurred to me. I'm sorry, I keep announcing the notes that I wrote down are this. I don't need to do that. Do you think Petunia was at Lily and James's wedding?
I
have gone.
I'm going to say no.
On this. I think she didn't go. But you know what? I don't know, because JK did have one thing she mentioned where they tried to have a dinner party.
Okay.
The first time that James was meeting, I think, Vernon, and it went horribly wrong because Vernon thought that James was mocking him the whole time and a layabout, and James was being, prankster marauder James.
Probably sassy, yeah.
And sassy. But there is some kind of story. I wish I had pulled it out now. But about that. So either they didn't go to the wedding or they did, and they did try at some point to have a relationship as, two different, as family.
I remember the story you're talking about, and I think it was on Pottermore somewhere.
It was on Pottermore? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Pottermore.
But I'm going to say I do not think either of them would have even contemplated going to the wedding.
I think they were invited, but they didn't. Because they'd be going with a bunch of witches and wizards. They would have been terrified.
And I'm going to tell you, it sounds, and I know lots of people are going to disagree, I don't think Lily was that great a human, okay? As far as, I don't think she was a nice person.
Let's delve into this.
We're going to have to do that relationship down the road. I know. What? But I am not a Lily was perfect person.
No one's perfect.
She didn't forgive her childhood friend for calling her a name. She allowed her childhood friend to be picked on, tormented, and teased.
Yeah, but you're a kid.
How much worse? But wait, that's what I'm saying. Apply that to her sister. Tell me she didn't do the same thing.
Well, I was
her sister who was angry, mean. Petunia was snipey, snarky, mean, attacking, and defensive. I can see Lily cutting her out. They didn't ever get to grow up. Remember, they got married right out of high school. And they're 17 when they get out of high school. They didn't get to grow up.
How old were they when they passed away?
What, 24?
23, 24.
Somewhere around there.
Oh, yeah. No, you're not grown up at 24. Okay.
No.
All right.
But see, here's the thing, though, and I will say this, and no, I don't think Lily was perfect or anything like that. But one of the things I think people often forget when it comes to Lily and Snape, or even Snape and the Marauders, is that Snape gave as good as he got. We didn't see it in the movies, but in the books, there was a lot of back and forth. And
that
was not the first time she had heard him say mudblood. It's just the first time he applied it to her face.
Right.
Because she had heard him say it with his friends and his future Death Eater friends. Like, he was, for lack of a better way of saying it with the analogy, a Nazi youth, and she was a young Jewish girl. So Was she perfect? No, but I don't think her treatment of Snape and being unforgiving was necessarily fair. I do think she should have stood up for her sister more when Snape and Petunia